We just got some pretty crazy news in the world of AI. As you can see from the side right here, OpenAI just let out a message that kind of looks like a marketing ploy, but in reality shelters something way darker. Or rather, just let's take a look. We're partnering with Hugging Face, which is one of the biggest AI community platforms that we all know, to investigate an unprecedented security incident. Cyber-capable OpenAI models compromised Hugging Face production during a benchmark evaluation, sharing preliminary findings to help defenders understand emerging risks. And so essentially what happened right here over the past 24 hours is that a similar thing as to what happened to Anthropic, Fable, right, or Mythos, where they basically were able to hack the entire internet, OpenAI now also wants a piece of that pie. And before diving into the entire article, just to give you the rough little breakdown, it's already really quite peculiar. So as you can see right here, trajectories for various AI models on the 32-step, the last one's cyber range, a corporate network attack simulation spanning multiple subnets and hosts without active defenders. Now, what this showcases right here is basically the maximum capability of one of these models, in this specific case in the cyber range. So what they're trying to go through is every single step it takes, right, from basically one, just saying hi to a network almost, to fully taking it over. That's, in this case here, a 32-step process between M1 and M9. And if you take a look at it, GLM 5.2, which we all called pretty much amazing, was able to get to roughly step 3, something along those lines. Opus 4.6 was able to get to roughly step M4, or specifically step 16. GPT 5.5, which we had for a long time. I'm not sure actually why they put Opus 4.6 in the middle, to be honest. I guess that's when the test was done, perhaps. I'm not so sure why they decided to include that. GPT 5.5 came here roughly at step 22 or M6. And then this is where things kind of get goofy, because we had Mythos come in slightly below GPT 5.6, which was peculiar because it used to be almost everywhere that Mythos was slightly above ChatGPT 5.6 Sol. So I'm already kind of surprised they put it like that, which is why I said this kind of looks like a marketing ploy. But after using GPT 5.6 for a while, it is pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I'm still sticking to Fable 5 for my own personal use as to what I prefer more. But it is quite peculiar. Regardless, if we're taking a look at the top echelon of things, apparently GPT 5.6 Sol, in its best attempt, was actually able to achieve the 32 steps with a full-on takeover, just like Mythos on its best attempts was able to do so. But I believe, looking at this line, maybe it was slightly cheaper in token costs, or I guess that depends a bit on the interpretation of these specific lines. I'm going to guess this one right here, like the black dotted one, is the GPT 5.6, whereas the Mythos could be the other one, the more orangey one here. But anyway, to give you guys the breakdown before even diving into which one is better, because we've kind of done that, so I'm guessing it's after diving into what's better. Last week, Hugging Face disclosed a new kind of security incident after they detected and contained an AI agent that compromised their infrastructure. Something we expect to become more commonplace with the proliferation of increasingly cyber-capable models. After investigating, we now know that this particular incident was driven by a combination of OpenAI models, including GPT 5.6 Sol and an even more capable pre-release model, all with reduced cyber refusals for evaluation purposes while being internally tested on a benchmark of cyber capability. So, really, this is why I said this may be a marketing ploy, it may be real. What they're stating right now is that what we've got right here is a model that is officially now experimental, but supposedly better than GPT 5.6. Sol on the best of levels. Now that is peculiar to me. Now, obviously, one thing that you have to understand is that these guys are most likely trading so many models at the same time and keeping what works best, right? And then taking their best of the best models, adding more data, training it again and again and again to get slightly different iterations, slightly different versions, which is why they go from GPT 5.5 to 5.6, for example, because it's still at the baseline the same model. Even though theoretically speaking, no model, even if you train it more, is exactly going to be the same. which is why some people like the previous version over the next one, because maybe on certain topics it was trained differently, which was actually nicer to you. But regardless, the fact that they're now also using a pre-release model, theoretically speaking, doesn't mean it's better, because it could actually be more specifically trained on a certain area. Let's just say that we have GPT 5.6 Soul that was trained on all the data in the world, but it's specifically only text, for example. Let's say it's a text-only model. Well, that would mean that it's really genius at everything text-related. But if you trained another model only specifically on everything related to videos for cybersecurity, I'm just saying a specific subject, or 3D animation video, only that, your prompting will have to be a bit more perfect, because obviously it's going to lack the English perfect vocabulary department. But from another angle, if it only focused on that, there's a good chance it's actually going to be better at that specific task. Which is also why people always talk about switching over to different AI models for different tasks, and why the benchmarks often showcase that they may excel in one area and kind of lack in the other, because these models are so broad, having billions upon billions of data points, trillions of data points here with billions of parameters. Theoretically speaking, we all know they're testing a ton of them, and they're testing them constantly. Just because one is experimental doesn't mean it's actually better, but that little addition of even more capable is where things kind of fall apart, because GPT 5.6, in my opinion, wasn't really the craziest ever, but then it turns out, looking at their numbers and kind of looking at what's going around, it's actually on the same level as Mythos here, if not better. This is what they like to state. But then there's apparently something already out there that's even better than that, and without putting the rails on it, it just takes over the entire internet, huh? Now, one thing that was kind of peculiar to me is that the submission of this whole exploit in question was actually already done on May 11th, so a couple of months ago here. And on the one hand, that's a long time ago. On the other hand, what basically happened these 2 months ago, so on the 11th of May, is they came up with a new system to test, I think because of Mythos really, how good one of these AIs really is to actually get into and exploit a network or a system. Now, the reason I'm quite, I guess surprised about the situation is because the 11th of May, it's only 2 months ago, yet it already feels so long. You understand how much has changed since this test came to be, and the fact that this was a preliminary thing, needing a new system to match or to see how good these real attacks actually are. Oh, quickly got a little call there in the middle. Sometimes that happens. But the long story short is that this exploit, this actual test, it's kind of only been 2 months since this was even a necessity, and I wonder how this is going to actually change over the next couple of weeks or months, because as the AIs get better, theoretically speaking, the way to see how good they are is also going to get better, which is what the benchmarks keep upping and upping. But also on this specific front, how to actually even overtake an entire network perhaps may change, because AI may eventually, at that specific task, get better than humans. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to see. I wonder how an even more capable model, for example, would eventually actually match a more capable model's internet. Because what we're seeing right now is most of maybe the stuff they're trying to breach, the networks they're trying to breach, were made with hand by hand, which theoretically speaking is still the best. Except for on some fronts, right? But eventually, with these major AI models, if they're also being able to combat these tests, these benchmarks that I've not got here right here at the bottom, these are all done with no defense at all. It's just to kind of show how capable they are in theory. In practice, though, they really can't get as far unless they're just completely left alone. But I wonder if they've got also AI level intelligence on the defense, how extremely difficult it actually could be to even ever breach. Anyway, yeah, the way they're writing it all, it kind of makes it seem like they're just kind of shamelessly plugging their latest AI model that's unreleased, and that's basically just the whole purpose of this post. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but that's kind of how it reads like, because they didn't really say much except for the fact that they're extremely good at what they do, and apparently their model that was even better was able to get really deep, but again, no deep. I mean, what really are we trying to point out here? If they actually hacked something and that was super bad, okay, I get it, just like kind of with Mythos. But it kind of feels as if they're using this as a marketing ploy to get the same attention that Mythos got. And that makes you realize, what if all this news in the world of AI is all just fake? All they're doing is just trying to increase their valuations, because every single announcement like this gets out so much hype, so much marketing, and so much new money that this is just the only way to stay on top. Anyway, it could also just be they got a really crazy incident and I wanted to share it. I'm just, playing devil's advocate here a bit, because the news is so absolutely crazy.